Hello. For my psych and film project, I decided to analyze the psychology of Edward Scissorhands. So, in the setting of Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands, there is this pastel neighborhood. It is kind of the epitome of suburbia, and there happens to be an unusual residence looming over the whole thing at the top of a mountain. The house owners are unaware that anybody still lives there. Maybe at some point that they knew that the inventor lived there, but over the years, um, this was forgotten. So it happened to be that Edward was created by the inventor, but the inventor had died before he could finish this human that he had created in the likeness of other humans. And so he was stuck with his rudimentary hands, which had happened to be made of scissors. So this Avon lady named Peg tries to actually sell her wares to this mansion, and in doing so, discovers Edward. He had been in a state of complete isolation from people ever since his creator had died, and he spent his time alone doing some gardening and collecting clips from magazines and newspapers of humanity. So, what could Edward be diagnosed with? Well, it could be avoidant personality disorder. This disorder is characterized by an extreme preoccupation with fear and rejection, feeling inferior or inadequate, being unable to take criticism, not engaging in activities that could be embarrassing, or showing hesitancy in intimate relationships. Because the film is in the modern United States, it is entirely possible that he could receive this diagnosis. In broader terms of culture, most would have a diagnosis comparable because the very essence of what it means to be social and connect with others in meaningful ways is damaged by this condition. There is some variation among cultures of how attachment is distributed. For example, the children of the Efe culture in Democratic Republic of Congo are cared for by many women caretakers, and the Bang people of West Africa are encouraged to welcome strangers, but this does not mean that fearing close relationships and rejection would go unnoticed, really in any culture. There simply just may not be a psychologist or psychiatrist or other mental health care professionals to address it in some areas. So, the evidence. Um, the first symptom Edward shows of avoidant personality disorder is being unwilling to get involved with people unless certain of being liked. He goes out of his way to use his specialized hands to make exquisite shrub art, do very unique haircuts, and even groom pets. This delights all of the residents in the area, and so this is really one of the few ways he tries to interact with them because he knows he will be received positively. He does interact with teens. He appears to be somewhat of a teen in his own development, even though he may be older than that. Just the way that he was created, he seems to be a young man or teen, and he doesn't attempt to interact with his uh, assumed age bracket other than doing them the favor of stealing valuables from a home. So he's willing to gain their approval in this way, but doesn't go on outings with them that would be more normal. He fears rejection in settings where he is not actively being used. He may see himself as a tool, but not worthy of real connection. His second symptom is showing restraint with intimate relationships because of the fear of shame and being ridiculed. Kim, the young lady in this depiction here, is Peg's daughter, and while initially is dating the hot-headed and brutish guy Jim of the teens group, she soon ends their relationship as she comes to appreciate the artistry, gentleness, and selflessness of Edward. In a famous scene, she tells Edward, "Hold me," to which he heartbreakingly responds, "I can't." This is only in part due to his hands being sharpened scissors, but she gently positions them to be able to embrace each other, proving that the distance was not necessarily caused by his hands, but rather his hesitancy to experience intimacy. Despite the challenges of Edward's symptoms, he does want to be connected to his fellow humans, unlike a condition like, say, schizoid personality disorder. The inherent risks of engaging in new activities is something that Edward sometimes is willing to engage in. So this is one of those symptoms that he does not display nearly as much as his trouble with intimacy and engaging in activity that could possibly be embarrassing. But him attempting to start a hairdressing business and even applying for a loan and touring a facility, this shows that he is willing to take on new experiences in some contexts. So treatments. Unfortunately, Edward's condition has been left untreated for many years, and in general, personality disorders are difficult to treat. He has experienced prolonged separation from society, but something that may help him is simply continuing to live with the Boggs family for support. Additionally, he should attend psychodynamic therapy sessions to help him understand the root of the pain that he experiences and process how to relate to other people. He could also attend cognitive behavioral therapy. This way, he is going to explore his feelings, how they affect his actions, and keep him from closeness and the depth of relationships that he deep down wants. His therapist can also help him adopt healthier ways of thinking. He is very critical and he is very immediate to apologize and overall very penitent, even over minor things. So his behaviors could possibly be modified. And finally, finding an outlet in his artistic expression, whether that be in his shrub art, his topiary, or hairdressing, could be extremely beneficial in his case. From the broader perspectives, we'll move on to that. Um, the disorder Edward has manifests in the lack of relationships, and this is very characteristic of the disorder, but it is assumed in this movie to be caused by something fantastic, a man who has sharp scissors as hands instead of the very gentle and tactile hands that we're so accustomed to having and expecting out of others. So that is definitely a barrier, but it goes so much further than that. And being sequestered in a Gothic mansion may not be everybody's childhood story, but certainly there are things that keep us from other people and finding acceptance, closeness, and love. So, as we try to understand the avoidance personality disorder and how it affects people outside the silver screen, seeing the disorder slightly exaggerated and from clear physical causes can help us process this understanding and help us understand people with mental health disorders that we ourselves do not have. So here's my citations. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation on one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite topics, psychology.